Star Wars role-playing. Well, yeah, there was the D6. 80s. It was fun. Didn't get to play a whole lot of it. But, played a little. I enjoyed it. Then, actually, how I got into 3.0 D&D was I was walking through, I think it was Walden Books, maybe. And I looked up and I saw this book. And this is the second edition of Star Wars role-playing. Very similar to D&D 3.0. Same rules, same skill basis pretty much, minus a couple things. And there's some errata, Imperial Dispatch available for it online. You have that version. I don't even know what this is. It's a map. And then they came out with this one. The revised edition, the game you're talking about. My personal copy is signed by Bill Slavisek. I think that's how you pronounce it. Slavisek, yeah. His advice is to let the Wookiee win. I got that from him on Celebration. This is was released at Celebration 2, a Star Wars event held in Indianapolis, Indiana, at the release of Episode 2, I think it was. And it's a great game. I could see some of the complaints of it, not being the greatest Star Wars role-playing game. If you're a avid fan of the Star Wars universe and you read the novels, it doesn't address everything in the novels. It does go into some things. So it's not completely robust. There is a lot of novels about it. It's a great campaign setting. There's a lot of information about it. Some of the problems I have with it is there isn't a whole lot of monsters. So if you're looking for encounters where there is unintelligent creatures that the players would encounter, you're gonna have a hard time without incorporating other D20 monsters in it, or things that would be considered monsters. They don't actually call them monsters in Star Wars role playing. Also, some of the other problems I had with it were the weapons. Like every D20 game has its own weapons thing. Such like a slug flowers or whatever I think they're called in nits, and in D20 they're firearms, whatever. You can adjust that if you wanted to. The other problem I had with it is that it's very similar to Dungeons & Dragons 3.0 or 3.5, where some information is only available in 3.0 and that's what you go with, and some information is only available in 3.5, so naturally that's what you go with, or it's updated, so you go with the 3.5 version. It's the same deal with it, except they didn't cover everything. So, like, for instance, there's a dark side source book that's written in second edition rules, but with a little tinkering, you can easily bring it up to the revised rules. And this is it. I mean, this is everything that is available with it, besides the miniatures. They're expensive at it. I didn't really get into the miniatures yet of Star Wars, but I was walking through Walden Books and I looked up and I saw this book, and kind of skipped around my conversation, but I said to myself, wow, I always wanted to play a Jedi in first edition Dungeons and Dragons. And so I opened up and I saw that the classes were kind of laid out the same as first edition Dungeons and Dragons, so I picked it up, and that's how I got back into role playing after a break of role playing for about 5 years or so, maybe 4. I don't know. I don't have a lot of science fiction role playing experience. I never really get to play Alterity. I got to play some D20 Modern. And what was it, Star Frontiers? Yeah, I played some Star Frontiers a couple times actually, as late as '95, I think. But I did play it in the '80s as a child, and I liked Star Frontiers. I had a good time with that game. Um, the system was different. I think it was a D100 system, pretty much. Very similar to D20 though, if you think about it, just in increments of 5. Um, but the great thing about the Star Wars role-playing game is if you have the D20 modern role-playing game and you have the Dungeons and Dragons 3rd edition 3.5 role-playing game, if you have that mass collection of books and you put them all together, you can make pretty much one kick-ass D20, like pretty much modern role-playing game. You have to use a lot of stuff out of the Dungeons and Dragons Unearthed Arcana, such as vitality points and wound points and the weapons groups feats, which I think the weapons groups feats are a must for every D20 game. I don't like the simple weapons, martial weapons. I just don't like that system. I don't like how certain feats are specific weapon. I much rather have the weapons group and have the weapons group feat work, so they'll improve critical work towards all light blades and rather not just your short sword. Um, I don't know how you feel about that. Maybe that's something we can post up. Maybe you can get that on there. How you feel about weapons group feats? I think they belong in every D20 game. And like I did play a campaign where we tried D20 modern campaign. It ended up becoming Pandora's box because there was just so many books involved. Um, and we used the Star Wars world as a backdrop, basically. I have played this game exclusively for a couple of years. By the rules as close as I can. There is 10 gamer magazines, Star Wars gamer magazines. And there's a lot of modules and prestige classes, archetypes that they use in Star Wars role-playing game. I like the archetypes a lot. One of the problems I have with the Star Wars role-playing game is that there's not a whole lot in it. I mean, there's not a whole lot. It's not as robust of a game. There's not 100 books, and I kind of wanted that. And like I agreed with you as far as like 3rd edition 3.5 and the Savage Species. Yeah, they kind of left us hanging. Like Wizards really left us fans hanging like on 3.5. And they did change the game to an unrecognizable thing if you've been playing since the 80s or the 70s. It's like they changed the rules to Monopoly or something. But yeah, that's how I feel about the Star Wars role-playing game. Um, it's there's one more book that I don't know if I don't think they ever came out with it. It was like Heroes and Villains or something like that. It was just NPCs, but I never saw it on any shelf, and I asked around and no one's ever seen it. So I don't know if it ever really came out. I never bothered to investigate. Probably should have. The other problem is that there's not a whole lot of like modules for it. There's some on the web. Yeah, sure, they published a few, but it's kind of hard to find that information. Some of the old modules do work. Like the D6 ones. These do work, but you got to rewrite the characters in them and the challenges. But the story is useful. The storyline, the plots is useful in the D6 West End Games books. I'm trying to think if I think I have one more complaint, but I can't remember what it was. The updating from 2.0 to 2.5 in some books is kind of annoying. They didn't come out with that much, and that was about it. But besides that, I love it. I love it. I think it was great, and I'm actually going to play it again when we're probably in a couple of years. My group is planning on playing again. Right now we're playing Dungeons and Dragons 3.5 in Galorian with a little bit of homebrew. I don't know if you can see that other map. That's supposed to be something that's off the Galorian map, or off the Inner Seas map. I'm sorry. I don't know whether Pazio's gonna come out with more aspects of Galorian or not. But anyway, that's it as far as Star Wars role playing. I agree with you. You can mix it in pretty well. It's a great role playing game. Peace.